Okay, I started working on this engine and I got the pulley off, the flywheel, magneto, fuel tank, all the accessories. And I figured I'd take this head off. And I'll be honest, it's a lot worse than I thought it might be. I don't know how all this debris would have gotten in there. And you can see the valves are obviously stuck. I'm not giving up yet. I think the next step is to clean all that out and try and hose it down with some kind of penetrant. And I realize this is not going to be a overnight process as far as getting it unstuck, but you got to start somewhere. So I think I'll start cleaning up some of the other parts while this is soaking, and we'll see where we go from here. Also, one more thing to note, getting this flywheel off was a bit of a challenge. One interesting thing is it does not have the little moon key in there. I don't know where that's at. I don't know if there's a reason that that's missing, but you can see here it is pretty filthy in behind there. And I ended up just driving a wedge in the relief of the flywheel and then wedging one in behind the back of the flywheel on the side of the engine case there. And I was able to get it moving, and that's how I was able to get it off. Here I have the engine tilted up vertically, and I cleaned it out. I mean, there is some pitting there, but it's not horrible, as bad as it first looked. So the next step, I'm gonna fill this up with blaster or some kind of fluid, and we're just gonna forget about it for a while and see where we go from there. All right, as you can see, the fire trick worked. I was able to get the piston out, and it's actually in pretty good condition. There's not really much for scuffing. I think it was really just stuck on the rings, like they're really stuck in there. Now, getting the rings out of the piston might be a challenge as well. But what I ended up doing is I took the side cover of the engine off, and first thing I did was I went to remove the cam, I should say, the camshaft. The problem was these lifters were stuck in the little bore that they sit in. So once I got the lifters out, I was able to get the cam out, and then I was able to remove the crank, and I basically removed everything but the rod and the piston. And an old timer told me this trick, but I basically stood the engine up vertically, as you've probably seen by the picture. And I filled the cylinder with brake fluid, and then I used 2 cotton balls with Vaseline and basically lit it on fire. And I let that burn for probably about an hour or so, which kind of gently heated it up. And then I was able to tap on the rod, and that didn't quite do it. So I got my air hammer, and I have a big round slug I put against the piston. Just kind of jiggled on it for a while, then I got it moving. And then I was able to drive it out. So you can see the inside of the engine, there's a fair amount of rust on kind of the uncoated materials there. So I'll have to clean that up. But as far as the crankshaft goes, I think it's in pretty decent condition. Again, the cam, same thing. It's just pretty rusty from sitting. And I did clean up the head and a lot of these parts in the back, and everything back there seems to be pretty good. So I think that was basically the hardest hurdle, was getting that piston out. So I'll show you the block now and see how everything else looks. Here's the cylinder, and really the only thing is probably this one spot here. There's a bit of a lip there, but as far as the rest of the way back, I think everything's pretty good. Now, I have not cleaned this whatsoever yet, so I think I'll be able to hone this out. I mean, I'm not going to be putting this engine to work, obviously. It's mainly I'm just trying to get it running, but I think I should be able to hone a lot of that out, and I think it's worth doing. So that'll probably be the next step. will be to obviously clean this block and hone it out. So here's the inside of the crankcase. And when I first opened this up, there was probably about 1 inch of sludge in here. So I've since, wiped it out a little bit. But my theory on this engine, like I said, when I bought it, the magneto was loose and one of the bolts on the side cover was loose. I think someone had bought this, realized it was stuck, and then they started to, scavenge some parts off of it. Because the magneto doesn't quite look like it matches up with this engine as far as the patina goes. And the other interesting thing, when I open this up, I'm missing basically the governor gear and the flyweights. So I think someone took that to keep an engine of their own going. Now that's not a big deal because I can still find that. It's not hard to find like on eBay. But the only other potential hurdle I have, so if you look at that bearing there, like that's for the crank. You see there's those little grooves, that's to distribute oil. Now if you look up top at the one for the camshaft, it's basically whooped. So I don't think you can find those anymore. So I don't know how big of a deal that is. I'm gonna have to do some looking, but as far as that, I mean, everything else seems worth fixing to me. So I think the next step will be to power wash this and probably obviously hone the cylinder out. So thanks for watching. Hopefully someone found this interesting.